And we're live. Hello, everyone. It's Joseph Singleton with Height Digital here. Glad that you're here and watching with us. I'm really excited about today. We've got a quick conversation on Height Live with Jeffery Barnett of Boston Safety Compliance. He's agreed to come on and talk to us about uh, the things we need to look out for as contractors the most to keep our guys safe and go home with all the same 10 fingers and toes that we started with, if we started with 10 on that day. You carpenters out there know that maybe you started with a couple less. But without further ado, I want to introduce to you Jeffery Barnett from Boston Safety Compliance. Jeffery, good to see you today, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for jumping on here. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Jeffery. You're in the safety and compliance avenue of business here. Tell me a little bit about that. How'd you get started?
Well, I got started back in 2012. Gentleman named Kelly Hetherington got me involved, and it just blossomed from there. Been doing it for quite a long time. My background goes back to being in the construction industry for over 20 years. I've done a lot of training even before that. So I worked for a very large roofing company, worked my way up, and then got my safety degree. So I've got a lot of certifications. I'm the only person in the state of Oklahoma that teaches swing stage scaffolding. I'm one of only three to teach what they call EM 385, 24-hour fall protection class. I mean, I'm in and out of the OSHA. I'm not OSHA. People think I'm an OSHA person. No, I actually do the opposite.
Right.
I
Yeah.
work
You're not the
for,
government guy.
yeah, I'm not the government guy. I'm the guy that stops the government from coming at you or attacking you.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's super
So
important nowadays. Yeah, they're all about raising that money, aren't they?
it's funny because they're the only agency that one of the only agencies that actually makes money for the federal government, but they do not actually need they do not need those citations. That money goes back to the federal government, so that does not become part of their budget. It's not like a police department. If they get the ticket, it goes to the state, county, or city. Right.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's good to
They
know.
actually go
That's really
back,
good to know.
so they don't have to write you. They don't want to write you. What they want to try to do is make sure you and your guys are safe. That's the key thing. It's not about citing you. It's about making sure you are safe.
Absolutely. Yeah, the most important thing. I've seen guys in more than 2 decades the same in the construction industry. I've seen guys hurt in just about every way that you can think of. And
Yes.
between construction trades and oil field, it's a dangerous place out there. You can get hurt in a real hurry. So I'm really fortunate. I got you and I got the chance to meet at a networking event several years ago, and I've been really
Yes.
impressed by your knowledge in
Thank
this
you.
space. I know it's like everything else in business. If you're wearing all the hats in business, it's really hard to keep up with not only staying compliant and staying on the right side of the law, but just doing things right so that you
Yes.
can continue to do business in the long term, right?
Correct.
So, with that being said, I want to ask you, what are the things nowadays, and maybe it's not just nowadays, maybe this is along just as long as we've been building things, right? What are the things? Talk to me about the activities and the things that contractors need to watch out for so that they can go home safe and so they don't run afoul of the law. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Okay. OSHA has what they call the four cores or the four hazards, and that's fault protection, scaffolding. Fault protection caught between struck bys and electrocutions. Well, if you want to stop from getting a citation, I'm going to tell you, you have to watch out for your fall protection, your ladders, your scaffolding, um, and housekeeping. And the next big one is making sure you
Ooh,
guys have
housekeeping.
water.
Yeah.
It sounds dumb. OSHA does not cite on housekeeping, but if they see a job site that's a mess, I guarantee you there's more issues on that site. So they're going to
Yeah.
stop, they're going to look, they're going to find things wrong. But the biggest issue right now is the two biggest issues are ladders because there's been a lot of injuries and
Yeah.
water. They want to make sure you guys are hydrated because people are literally dropping dead on job sites because they're not hydrated. I just took
Oh,
a
yeah.
webinar through what they call Area 6, which is what we're in. We're Oklahoma, Texas, and New Mexico.
Okay.
Area 6 put it on. And here's the deal. I'm going to give you some statistics that they gave me. Since 2020, we've had 161 deaths just on ladders. This is just ladders
Oh,
now.
boy.
22,710 injuries. 5,370 they've actually cited. So And the thing is, most of this is just the simple stuff: not putting up the ladder correctly, not using the ladder correctly.
Yeah, tell me about that. Tell me about what's the proper procedure when using a ladder? Because this is one actually running a
Yes.
paint contracting company. I got cited on this for
Wow.
ladder safety on a residential painting project where we never even watched for OSHA
Yeah.
inspectors to come around. So
See, that's another thing. I love when people tell me I'm residential, I do not have to follow the laws. Actually, that's not true. There's an actual written law that says if you're residential, you must follow all the laws. As a matter of fact, 5,110 contractors last year got cited on residential
oh,
sites, not commercial sites. Now,
mm-hmm.
when we talk about ladders, need to be 3 feet above the rise where you're going to go. You can work off a ladder. I call it the
Okay.
belt buckle rule. 4 to 1. Reason why you want 4 to 1 is you got your ladder up. If it's too far, someone climbs up the ladder, it's going to slide out. If it's too
Okay.
straight up, you climb up the ladder, it's going to fall. So that's what the 4 to 1 is. You want to make sure that your feet are level or dug into the ground. Make sure it's tied off so that way the ladder doesn't fall off. People say, why do I have to have it 3 feet up? It's because we want you to be able to grab it just like a guardrail and climb onto it. Don't climb down backwards. Look at the ladder and climb down. And make sure you're not holding things when climbing up that ladder. That is a big issue, and that's what a lot of people do. Is
Ah,
they'll have a bucket of paint or something they're carrying up, and they're thinking that, hey, I've got my 3 points of contact. No, you really don't. So that's what we want to make sure that doesn't happen.
yeah. Yeah,
Sorry
yeah,
about that.
definitely. No, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, we're always operating in business while we're doing these things, right? So
I
ladder
forgot
safety
to.
is a really big one. So what you're telling me is that it's probably not safe to climb up on the top of the very top rung of like a 6-foot step ladder and stand on top of that.
Correct. When you're on a step ladder, what you think about is when you're on the top, what happens is the ladder gets closer and closer. It becomes unstable. If you're on the top, there's nothing to be able to stabilize you. So you don't want to go in those top two.
Okay.
Then you got your problems with your multi-purpose. I love multi-purpose ladders. They work wonderful. They're a lot more stable
These are
than.
the big extendable. They fold and they come out to
Yeah,
an
they're the ones
extension
that keep
ladder.
kind
The
of
whole thing.
fold.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, people call them gorilla ladders. They're not that expensive to buy. You can, if you follow the manufacturer's rules and regulations, you'll be okay. I like
Okay.
them. They hold up more weight. You have a little bit more leeway than you say with a-frame ladder or an extension ladder. But once you extend it out like an extension ladder, you have to follow the extension ladder rules. Those are great. If you're going to use one, make sure you're training your guys, train yourself that you know how to use it properly. If you use it
Gotcha.
wrong, you could literally hurt yourself really bad.
Uh-huh. So
So
ladder safety is a really big one.
it's
What
huge right
else?
now.
So number one, we want to watch out for. We got to be setting our ladders up safely,
Mhm.
level, 3 feet above the rise if we're using an extension ladder,
Correct.
so that we've got something to grab hold of. Tie it off, which is a
Yeah.
really big one,
Yes,
right?
expect. Yes, huge.
Um,
Because if you're
okay,
on the
so
roof, you don't want the ladder to fall off. There's more to it. Where you set the ladder up. You don't if you've got the eaves of a roof. You don't want to set up on that eve, okay?
yeah,
Because it'll slide. You want to set up on the flat part. You want to set up like this, so that
gotcha.
way, you're climbing right on top of the rise of the
hmm
roof. A lot of people don't do that, and that's important. Make sure that you're in a position where you can get you guys down safely.
So other than ladder safety, what else do we need to be watching out for?
Well, it
Should
depends on what industry you're in. If you're
So
up on a
say we're in
roof,
the painting or the roofing or framing, something in say home building or light commercial. These contractors are working in the same spaces a lot.
okay. Um, like I have plumbers too. So if you're on a
There you
roof,
go.
they're gonna be looking at your fall protection. Make sure you have your fall protection. Make sure you have it correctly. Okay, they are gonna see that. You got plumbers. Confined space is very huge. A
Okay.
lot of
Yeah,
plumbers
talk to
say
talk to me about that.
confined space is. Everybody says, "Well, I'm not in a confined space." If you walk into a closet, you're in a confined space. It's not meant
Okay.
for human occupancy. It's one way in, one way out. Now, does that mean I have to have a permit? No. But what if you're a plumber and you're going underneath the house? It could be considered a permit confined space because, well, you have animals, you have H2S gas that can produce down there. You have natural gas that your pipeline might crack. Someone may be having a vehicle next to it, and the carbon dioxide goes into the
Mm-hmm.
confined space. People don't think about these little things. Well, they got the vehicle running because they want to keep it warm because it's too cold outside. Well, your exhaust is going inside in your crawl space, and you're working in a crawl
Gotcha.
space.
So,
I
so
mean,
with confined space, we can have, like you said H2S gas. So,
yep,
so you can have toxic gases in confined spaces.
yep,
There not a lot of easy ways out, right?
nope. One
It's
way in, one way
one
out.
way in, one way out. So when somebody's working in a confined space, say they're working in a confined space that doesn't really rise to the level of getting that permit, what is
Right.
something they can do to keep themselves safe still?
Make sure that you're not there by yourself. First of all.
Okay. Yeah.
Cell phones are great, but here's the problem with cell phones. If you run it there, you lose your cell phone or break your cell phone, or maybe it doesn't even work because they're great and everything. Don't get me wrong, but the more stuff you put around you, you can't get the signal out.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah,
let's make
you're
sure
already in a building.
what if you have a heart attack? You need someone to know that you're in there. So you shouldn't be working alone, or at least
So
have
that
someone know that you're
buddy
there.
system's really important then.
It is huge, especially when you're going into those kind of spaces.
Gotcha.
Because here's the deal: is when you're in a small confined space, especially when we're talking about plumbers and residential, those eaves you can hit your head, a nail be sticking out, cut you up. There's just so many things that can go wrong. What if there's obviously in Oklahoma we don't have rattlesnakes, so we don't have to worry about them, right?
Right.
Where do they like to go? Warm, wet spots.
Warm and
Where are you
underneath,
working
right?
in a warm, wet spot?
Yeah.
So you
Critters
don't
are
know
a
where
big
those
deal.
rattlesnakes are. They will not come and attack you, but if they think they're being attacked, they will hit you and run.
Yep.
It's a defense thing. That's the thing.
Sure. Yeah, they're an animal. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They don't know. They're not being malicious. They're protecting themselves, and you're in a place that you don't belong, according to them. Last, because I want to make sure that we stay on time here, because definitely that's confined space is super important. What's a third item that we should really be watching out for as contractors?
Like I said, I can't stress this enough, and I said it already. Let's hydrate. We live in Oklahoma. Okay, even in the winter time, you need to make sure you're drinking enough water. It's huge because what we're doing is we're finding more and more people going home and having issues at home after work because they didn't hydrate during work. A lot of times it does happen at work. Well, we don't hydrate enough. We need to make sure we're hydrated. We need to make sure our guys.
I'm burying coffee in me right now. It doesn't really count.
I will tell you this much. I'm drinking. I have stir in this. It's basically fruit juice inside this. So it's got no sugars or anything like this. This is water. I used to drink sodas all the time. Worst thing you can, not the worst, but close to the worst thing you can do. Drinking coffee in the morning, I don't have a problem with that. Making sure you're not drunk when you come back to work. I mean, you can drink till midnight and still be drunk when you come to work.
Right.
That's not even the worst thing today. What the worst thing comes is people drinking them energy drinks. Those energy drinks they will dehydrate you quicker than anything. And you're not going to believe this one, but I love Gatorade. I love Squencher. I don't care which one you buy, Liquid, IV, you name the brand. I don't care who you name. If that's all you're drinking, what happens is those electrolytes work, and all of a sudden they plateau. And then after they plateau, you have it down because you have too much electrolytes. There's not enough water to make the electrolytes work. Okay, so what we got to do is we have to supplement water with those Gatorades, with those electrolytes. Yes, they're great. Yes.
So is there a ratio? Do you
always tell people half and half. If you drink a bottle of water, a bottle of Gatorade, drink a bottle of water behind it.
Yep. And I don't think that we're going to convince contractors to not drink these energy drinks. There's some major marketing going on pushing that out there. So what's a good compromise for that? Is it the same way? Would it be one energy drink for 2 waters, or would you?
No. You shouldn't be drinking them at all because first of all, they mess up your kidneys. Once your kidneys
they're terrible for you.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to put your water through your system the right way.
Okay.
So
best practice is to avoid those altogether.
If you're drinking the energy drinks, please drink twice as much water as you drink those energy drinks.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Don't go from an energy drink to a soda or energy drink to a coffee. That you're not allowing your body to. That sodas do not give you enough fluid, because that caffeine is not using that caffeine properly. It's not letting your kidneys work properly. If you're someone like me with ADHD, your caffeine is used differently. But most people aren't like that. Most
Yeah.
people need that water. They need a lot of that water. Stay hydrated. If you're not sweating, if you're dry sweating, you're not urinating, you're not drinking enough. Then you're going to get pale. You're going to get
Gotcha.
cool. So make sure if you're an owner or a foreman, make sure you guys are drinking water. Give them more breaks more often. A 5-minute break to sit in the shade to cool down. And then, by the way, if someone does get starts going down, take a bottle of water, stick it on the back of the neck. What happening is you're going to cold bottle of water, cool it, the blood vessels going up, and cool the blood vessels going down. So you're keeping the head cool, and it's going right back to your heart and cooling your heart down faster. Don't give them a bottle of water, let them chug water. If they chug the water, it's just gonna come up and you're gonna lose more than you put in. Make them drink slowly. Anybody's had an animal like a horse and they ran a horse, you never let that horse put its head in the dunk tank because they will literally die from drinking too much water.
Gotcha.
So same issue. We want them to absorb the water, so we want them to bring it in a little at a time. Keep giving it to them, but give them a small bit. And then as soon as they're done, give them another small bit. But you just filling up a small cup and handing it to them is plenty of time for that water to settle in. When you chug it, you're chugging cold water. The body just wants to expute it, and that's what it does.
Love it. So we've got ladder safety. Let's make sure we're level. Let's make sure we're above the roof line, that we're tied off, that we're not standing on that top step. We've got confined space. If we're going to be working in a confined space that even if it doesn't require a permit, let's work with the buddy system to make sure in case something happens, you've got somebody there to help you.
That's
and
correct.
Let's stay hydrated, guys. And that doesn't mean just drinking water, and that doesn't mean having 10 energy drinks. We need to be a little more healthy with that because we're out here in the elements all the time. Man, Jeffrey, that is fantastic information. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm going to put up here on the screen your website here. This is one way that people can get a hold of you at Boston Safety Compliance. You can see there in the background. You can also see his telephone number there on the screen, 405-999-0348. If you're in business at all, you want to be compliant, you want your employees to be safe, we recommend at Height that you reach out to Jeffrey here at Boston Safety Compliance and make sure that there are no hidden pitfalls that you're not aware of, so that your business can continue to run in a healthy manner and everyone goes home with the same 10 fingers and toes every single night. Jeffrey, before we go, is there anything else you'd like to say to our viewers?
Man, there's so much. You really don't try to do all this training yourself. Find someone's professional, do it. So that way they know, so that you can get all the information. I've just given you bits and bits of information.
Right. Yeah. We're just scratching the surface here.
I'm just scratching the surface. I'm going to show you right now. This is the law book, just for construction. Okay. So it's hard to know all the information that's in here, what you're required to do, what you're not required to do. So PPE is huge. Everything, these things, you need someone like me to understand the rules and regulations, so the way you can make sure you guys are safe.
100%.
And also the paperwork. Make sure that you document. It's the most important.
There's so much involved in just keeping track of everything that you're doing, right?
Yes. And people can do it. If you're a small company, you can do part of it on your own. You want to keep you don't want someone like me. I'm going to keep all your documents. Okay. But you need to keep all the same documents I do, so it's in more than one place. So that way, if OSHA asks for it, you don't have to wait. Oh, hold on. Here you go. And then you just swipe it over to them. It makes it a lot easier and less chance of getting citations.
Perfect. Well, Jeffrey, thank you so much for joining me today. Man, I can't wait to talk to you again. You have a blessed week, and we'll talk to you soon, my brother.
All right. Thanks, Joe. I'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Bye-bye.